My name is Brian Sweats. I am in the planning department with the City of Portsmouth. For those of you who haven't signed in, if you could please sign up. We would like to be able to contact you as we keep going forward through this plan and let you know what's happening and to keep getting input from you all. For those of you, we're going to get a little bit more into what a comp plan is later, but just a very, very one-sentence overview. We're looking 20 or 30 years down the road, and we are trying to create a roadmap for how to get there. You tell us where you want the city to go. We're going to help try to get you there. This is an update to our current plan. The plan was adopted in 2005. We are trying to figure out what kinds of things in the plan should we keep moving forward with, what kinds of things maybe are irrelevant, and what topics maybe were not addressed that we should be looking at. For example, flooding. Everyone here is impacted by flooding, and we've had the weather recently to prove it, but it's not really addressed in the plan. Sea level rise is also not addressed in the plan. Those are two examples of topics that we know that we need to move forward with. The plan is something that the city will use to help guide decision-making processes. It's something City Council will use when they make decisions. The current plan has had some successes. The new Midtown Tunnel and the Martin Luther King Center, those were part of the comprehensive plan. TCC, building this campus here, was part of the comprehensive plan. Some of the work that we're doing for improving our schools is in the comprehensive plan. These are examples of things that you'll find in there if you look for it. But like I said, we're updating it, and so we need to get your ideas on what's good, what's bad, what should we be moving forward with, what do we need to address. I have two outside of the city colleagues here today. Emily Crow is with McBride Dale Clarion. They're a consulting firm that's helping to lead the planning part of it. And Sarah Bongiorno, did I say that right?
Yes, Bongiorno.
Is with Planning Next. They are here to help us with our public outreach, as is Delcina Miles in the back. She is in Virginia Beach and is here to help us with public relations. Sarah is going to be doing the predominant work here of telling you what we're going to do today, so I'm going to turn it over to her. But again, thank you all for coming. We're very, very happy to see you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. So I'm going to just give can everyone hear me okay if I don't use the microphone? Okay. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown of how we're going to spend our hour and a half here today. Oh, microphone. Okay. Yes, I can. Is that better? Oh, I'm really loud. Okay. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how we're going to spend our hour and a half here today. We'll get you out, right on time. I'm going to first start by just setting the stage, giving you a little background about what Build One Portsmouth is and what we're trying to do here. And then we're going to be doing an individual activity and then a small group activity at your table. And then at the end we'll wrap up. We'll come back together and wrap up for some next steps. So what is Build One Portsmouth? Well, it is an inclusive and comprehensive process to create a new plan for the city, and there we go. And a comprehensive plan is a blueprint, as Brian said, for the future based upon the vision and the aspirations of a community. It addresses specific topics such as housing, transportation, sustainability, economic development. And it's important to have a plan because that allows city staff, the elected officials, and the citizens to all be sure we're on the having a shared goal, working towards the same goals of the shared vision. And in the state of Virginia, it is a requirement that cities have a plan that they review on the 5-year mark, I believe, right, Brian, and then update in a 10-year period. And it's really important that you have a good, solid plan for your city when you're going after grants or funding from the federal government for transportation projects. They look at your plan and want to make sure that you have a good plan. So this is really important to do this update and do it well. So, we hope you're all here, you care. We're glad you're here today. Take time out of your day. This is your best chance to have a say, what Portsmouth's going to look like in the future. Not all communities do this kind of outreach. This is really, really nice that the city is interested in and wanting to listen to your input. A lot of cities might just do it internally, just do the plan and within city staff, but they really are listening to you and want this to be the citizen plan. So thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts today. So as I said, the citizens are leading this process. This public input, a part of it is really important. Brian and his city staff are being supported by some consulting firms. Emily and I are here to help through this process as well. I know you can't see this graphic very well, but this is a 2-year process, and we're here today at the first public engagement opportunity, here at the beginning of November. We're going to be coming back out to you in February. All the input that we collect today is going to be analyzed. We're having an online component as well. So we're trying to just hear from as many people as possible to try to hear what you have to say, analyze that, then bring something back for you to react to in February. So we're targeting the first week in February, like the week of the 6th. We'll give you more information about that exact date and what that's going to look like. But we would love for you to stay engaged, and when you come back in February, you will see the input that you gave us today, how that's going to, each phase is iterative. And so we're going to come back again in the summer, in June or July, and so you'll kind of come along with us, seeing how the input becomes more formalized as we go through the process. So this is really, open-ended, very idea generation at this point. And then at the end of the process, before it goes through the formal adoption process, we will come back out with the final plan document for the citizen review, and I think that's scheduled maybe in February of the following year. So, but yeah, it's a 2-year process, and we really hope you'll stay engaged. We'll do the best we can to get the word out. We have a website, buildOnePortsmouth.org. You can get all kinds of information and get updated. So everybody should have a mini questionnaire. It has 2 questions on it. And we're going to give you, about 5 minutes just to think and write down. There should be pens as well if you need writing utensil. So the first question is, what do you love about Portsmouth? So we want you to think a little bit about that. What is your favorite part of this community? And write down your thoughts on that. And the other question is, what do you think is the biggest opportunity for the future? If you have more than one idea, feel free to jot them all down. But we're really trying to focus on what you love and then what you think is the biggest opportunity. So we're going to give you about 5 minutes or so to think silently and write your answers down. Okay, so what I'd like to do, we're doing good on time. So what I'd like to do is, as a sort of icebreaker for your table, is maybe go around. You don't have to share if you don't feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable, maybe share with your table mates, get you guys talking. One of the things you wrote down on your paper, so maybe what you love about Portsmouth or what you think the greatest opportunity is. But we want to just get in a little bit of a group dialogue just to kind of break the ice a little bit and get you guys talking, and then we're going to move into the small group activity. So we'll just take a few minutes to get to know each other and share and have a little group discussion.
Yes, there's a sign-in sheet at the table. If you can do that, put your name down for us too.
Okay, we're going to switch gears now to do a mapping exercise. So we're going to be using the large map. You could pass out so that everybody at your table gets 1 strip of green dots and 1 strip of red dots. These are going to be your materials for this next exercise. So I'm going to briefly go through the exercise so you know what to expect, but then we're going to kind of work through it in two kind of steps so that we make sure we're all kind of working together. So the first part, you're going to kind of think individually about the city, looking at the map, and you're going to think about it from the terms of areas of asset and areas of opportunity. Then you're going to place your dots on the map. As a group, you're going to start to look for any clustering. Now, this is important. You don't want to give in to peer pressure. You want to put your dots where you really feel like you need to put your dots. So if there's a certain area of town that everyone's putting green dots on it, that's a really great great area, and you feel strong about that, put your dot there too. That's great. That's fine. But if there's another area that you're like, no one's talking about this corner over here, and I think that's important, put your dot over there. So be really, even though this is a group activity, everyone's putting their dots, make sure that you really think about where you want to put yours, and don't be swayed by groupthink if you as we do this. So it's really important that everyone puts their dots, where you think they should go. You've got 4 green ones and 4 red ones. As a group, then you're going to look for some clustering. And then we're going to have a group discussion after you circle and label those areas about why those areas are labeled as such. So I want to review I'm going to review this. The green dots, okay, are for asset places. An asset place is an area that's desirable to visit. Maybe it reflects well on the community. It represents conditions you would like to see replicated. Maybe it's special to you in a positive way. So these are strong areas of the city. These are great areas you like to go visit and have a good reputation in the community. Those are your green dots. Now your red dots are going to be put on areas where you think there's more opportunity. These could be areas that you wish could be better in any way. They represent conditions you would like to see changed or improved. And maybe you think an area has greater potential for improvement. Maybe it's not fully seeing its potential right now and you think there could be more done. So those are the red dots. And those are the areas that we're going to have you look at that we're calling opportunity places. So right now I'd like you to study your map, get up if you need to, move around, make sure you can, everyone can see it, and then determine your top 4 places of asset and opportunity. It'll take about 5 or so minutes.
Greenwood Drive.
Just jump right in. Great. So we've got the dots on the map now. That's great. Now we're going to start to look for some clusterings so we can have the discussion. So we want you guys to look at your map and as a group identify the areas that have the most aggregation clustering of the green dots and the red dots. And the table recorder should have a sheet in front of them, 11 by 17 sheet that has 3 places where you can kind of record. So there's room on the back if you want to do more than 3, but we'd like you to start identifying 3. Now this may be easy for some of you. Some of the maps may start to cluster naturally. There's a bunch of green dots in one area. You can circle that and write a number 1 there. And then I'd like you to give it a place name. So if it has a name, like if it's a neighborhood or an area, if it doesn't necessarily, maybe try to give it an identifying name like a street or an intersection. So we want you to do that for the top 3. Now, if your dots don't cluster very apparently, it might take a little bit of discussion within your group about how you may want to draw the line. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Maybe it's along a corridor where they start to cluster, or an intersection, or maybe it's a sort of odd-shaped circle that you draw around there. But we want you to start to talk about these areas where your dots have started to cluster up. Every dot, now this is important, every dot will get recorded. When we record these maps, we're going to digitally put a dot on, so every dot will be recorded, but we're just going to talk about the top 3. Can I get everyone's attention real quick? This is really important. We want to make sure the input that you give us is really clear and that we can get it recorded accurately. So every dot will get recorded that you put on the map, but what we want you to do as a group is discuss the top 3 asset areas and the top... Just 1 second and I'll turn you back loose. So what's really important, every dot will get recorded that's on the map, but what we want you to do as a group is discuss the top 3 asset areas, looking at your map as they start to cluster, and what are the attributes that make that area a really positive area. If it's an area of opportunity, why is it that way? Is it an issue with safety? Is it an issue with aesthetics? Is it just an issue that there needs to be more development in that area? So we need to understand the kind of motivation behind it. So we really want you to focus on the why. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, there is going to be, this is iterative, right? As we come back together in February, we're going to give you a chance then to look at these areas that you're identifying today and give us some suggestions on, we want to see this here, and start to kind of talk about the how. But today we'd really like you to focus on the why. So now I'm going to stop talking and let you guys go at it. If you have questions, please raise your hand and we'll come around and try to help you. Is there a table group who would like to share their top asset or opportunity area? You can show your map and just share with the group. You have somebody? Awesome.
And we're going to start with Asset Place. We have the downtown area. And we do believe that the asset for the downtown area, we have it listed as a gathering area. We believe that if more things were in this area, we would bring in more people to downtown Portsmouth. So we believe that the City Hall area, for instance, we believe the City Hall area, for instance, we do have a vacant courthouse that sits there. We believe that that can be utilized to build a youth center or an elder center, something that we can benefit for the City of Portsmouth as residents. So we have that listed, and our second area is...
Can you give us your top opportunity place? Just give us one asset and then one opportunity area.
Opportunities Place. We believe that off of London Boulevard and
the George Washington corridor, this entry point into Portsmouth, this area here, and the community, Craddock Historic on one side, and then West Craddock, and hopefully a new housing development. But basically from Victory Boulevard, the entryway, all the way down to Elm is a potential, a real potential, because there's multiple shopping centers. They're very old, but if you could get those redeveloped and put businesses, attract businesses into those areas, plus this is Portsmouth's opportunity to say this is who we are, and you shouldn't miss out on those opportunities.
We felt like the number one asset place was downtown waterfront. We feel that it's a destination and has historical significance. That was our number one reasons for picking it as an asset place. Our number two asset place was Midtown. We feel that there's enormous potential for growth there, but our main reasons for picking it as an asset place was the residential waterfront, Midtown Marketplace, and surrounding area. Our number three asset place was the Victory Village area where we are right now. Our number one opportunity place was the Victory Village. We felt like there's a revenue and business development to be had here is our number one reason. Number two was the downtown waterfront. And we felt like there's a lot of redevelopment opportunities downtown, especially with municipal buildings that need to be torn down and replaced.
Great, thank you so much. If you knew somebody who couldn't be here today, please share that opportunity with them. We'll be collecting input through mid-December online. And please stay involved. Thank you so much for coming out and spending time with us today. Give yourself a round of applause. Stay involved. Like I said, we will, if you shared and the sign-in sheet shared your email address, you will get our updates. I promise we won't bombard your inbox, but we will let you know when there are events coming up. So stay involved. We hope to see you all back together in February. Thank you so much.
What I love about Portsmouth is the fact that they have a lot of rich, stable neighborhoods. Lots of culture here, lots of heritage, but more than that, some really hard-working people, who put in the good day's work and really enjoy moving this city forward.
Portsmouth is such a diverse city. I love the history. I think that a lot of people in the community, actually a lot of people in the United States, don't realize the importance of Portsmouth. From way back to the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, everything. The history here is unique and it's real. I'm an architect. I love buildings. So the building stock in Portsmouth is amazing and undervalued and underrepresented by the community.
Portsmouth has a lot of history, and that's one of the things that I really like about it. And around that history is a lot of really diverse neighborhoods.
What I love about Portsmouth is the small community feel, and that everybody works together. When you have to get something done, you're pretty close to your neighbors, or you're pretty close to neighboring communities where you could come together to do something.
We're located right in the center of Hampton Roads, so that gives us a lot of opportunities. I really, really like the fact that people in Portsmouth are so friendly and generous. So people and history and waterfront, all good.
Since the city is so geographically positioned in the middle of Hampton Roads as a region, and we feel like there's a lot of opportunity to enhance, of course, our already existing corridors, like the downtown corridor, the airline and turnpike corridor, along with, of course, being part of Victory Village, Victory Shopping Center. But I think what's the biggest talking point was the connectivity, either by intermodal, which is of course the light rail, and then considering BRT as potentially reaching westward and increasing some more density down along the airline corridor, what I think was probably one of the biggest things we had talked about.
The waterfront development, right now it's been misused, and things are happening. I like what's happening in Scotts Creek, some of the new initiatives to develop some of the waterfront, to have access by the public to the waterfront. I would like to see some more sustainable efforts done on the waterfront, but I think that as people get a vision for the sustainability with the recurrent flooding that's happening, I think there's going to be amazing things that are going to be developed.
We saw a wonderful opportunity for the waterfront area in Portsmouth, and also the industrial area that's in the Airline Boulevard area, meant to say. And in addition, there is tremendous opportunity, a tremendous asset and an opportunity for our ports, the Portsmouth Marine Terminal and also APM.
I think the greatest opportunity is to maximize the historical value, make it a destination that you want to go see because of the historic value, and also a place that you could live in and enjoy that history as well.
Some really exciting stuff came out of our conversation tonight. First off, we want to take Canary Island and turn it into a solar energy farm, and that way we can have utility scale solar here, lowering the carbon footprint of the city and making it more resilient as well. Secondly, the city itself is kind of a food desert. I mean, we've got 7-Elevens all over the place, but very few urban gardens and community gardens. So we want to make sure to have an urban agriculture center located here as well, and allow that to fan out throughout the city, eliminating those food deserts and making food local.
It felt really good to have the mix that we had at each table. And the different people from different backgrounds, and to be able to listen to what other people in the city of Portsmouth. I discovered an area in Portsmouth that I never even knew existed. So that was just the dynamics and the mix, and yeah, it was very exciting, and just the energy of people really being hopeful for Portsmouth.
It does take a village, as I always like to say. So when you're in the room with people that are talking the same language, we've obviously, people said, oh, I remember seeing your name on Facebook, and ironically they live 3 streets away from you. It's quite interesting to see how everyone interacts, and how everyone also has the same basic goals in mind. So only having 4 dots of red and green for each person, when they started going down on the map, it all pretty much, you could see it build on that cluster that everyone was talking about. So there's a lot of I guess you could say, common focus?
It meant everything. Like I feel like it's the only way to do things, to develop and to grow, is to have input in from everyone, so that we're all the ones that are going to be utilizing the development, and so our input is going to be paramount to it being utilized and successful for years to come.
I think this is great. It just affirms, the quality of the people here. Everybody was very involved and engaged in the process, and I think that's really important. I hope that as the process moves forward, that all the ideas, the great ideas that the folks at my table and other tables had, will be incorporated into the final plan.
One element that makes me feel hopeful that these talks and for this comp plan was work is because your promotions and your engagement that came across to us kind of came across like very interesting. Like you were interested, not just kind of parochial, and bleached. You were colorful and saying, hey, let's all come together and have some talks together in a circle. And I think that attracted us to think that it would actually be listened to and used.
It's a great time to really look forward to what's coming in the city.